Hello everyone, this is Jim, your not so humble host from YSC. You want to see what's in my package? The creators here at YSC and myself has created another masterpiece. So you want to see what's in there? You know what to do. Okay, so right now we are at the installation, per se, removal part of the home that this is going into. So we're not going to be the ones installing it. So we're making this section of the video not only so you can see how we did it, but also so the installers will know exactly how to install everything. So as you saw, this was up with the lights hanging. It would already be wired into the central outlet at this point and everything would work. So in order to reverse that process, what we've done is basically mimicked up the way the piece should be installed. So once all of the globes are set to the proper height with the wires, they would get a towel or something wrapped around them. So we've used 3 various shades of towels. I either suggest you do the same, or you can have three the same, whichever you prefer. Myself, I like color, as long as you cover the globes from getting broke. So at this point, you would have everything covered and ready to install it up to the ceiling. You're going to need several people to do this correctly, not get anything broke. We're going to reverse engineer it, and we're going to remove it from the ceiling right now. So Jeff's going to grab one side, I'm going to grab the other, and we're going to pull directly down on it. Now if this was normally on the ceiling, fastened up against the drywall, we need suction cups to pull it down. And you'd also need to make sure these don't swing randomly and crack each other. So now Jeff and I are just going to pull it straight down, like that. Now you see how well that held up there? It's pretty darn good. I'm going to remove this, and now that the boys have removed that, you can see the framework that actually goes up to the ceiling. So now the initial installer of this would need to mark, this will be the contact point for all the electrical in here. So normally there'd be a hole or a box or whatever in this side of it. I would suggest a hole with the box up inside so you have room for the excess wire to go up in. I would cut this entire thing out there, put the junction box up. Now if you're putting this on the ceiling, and say you have a stud right here, a ceiling stud, another one over here, coming down this way. We're kind of doing this on the fly, so bear with the studs not being straight. Now you'd be able to fasten this to the overhead here and here, here and here, here and here, and here and here. Now if you have more studs on the outside, then you'd also be able to fasten over here. Now as you can see, the way this is fastened up, it would hold regardless if you had 2 studs or 3 studs in there. The framework's pretty strong. So now how I held this to the plywood, what I did is I ran longer 1-inch screws, number 6s, and we took out a screw in every cup, which allowed us to screw up to the plywood. And I marked it with a piece of tape, so I knew which screw we had used. Now it came down just fine, and there's the piece. So now we can remove all of the tape and put 1/2-inch screws back in to hold all the clips in place. And this is basically ready to go. So we're pretty happy. This is like artwork and form. So happy we get to work with the finest customers in the world. If I was as lucky as my customers, I would have left it on the ceiling and we would have worked underneath it. Okay, so these are the slots that I cut in for the wire. And what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little finish in them right now, which this will dry relatively quickly. You will see how this works. They're all slightly different, but remember we broke the diameter of a 12-foot circle into 4 different sections. The wires didn't line up exactly straight into the center, but that's okay, we compensated for that. Now if you'll notice over here, there's a pinhole for the pin that's in the back of the panel. And what I'm doing is I'm just sealing up the edge of that wood. And then we're going to flip it over, finish the back side of this little hole, and then what we're going to do is we'll just brush right around the inside. Okay, you can see I wrapped this wire up in order to demonstration purposes, but there's plenty of wire left here for the actual install. It won't really need to be this much. Okay, so for shipping and assembly, we have to take it back apart. So now you'd have all of this lead available. So if you were to go and set up either scaffolding or some ladders, some 2x4s across the top, similar to the way we have it set up now, you could go ahead and connect all of these wires up into the overhead, feed them up in as 2 other individuals are clipping this up to the ceiling. It's really, really simple. Do this all the time in the yacht. Very simple application. There was a 27, a 30, and a 33-inch length on the lights as per the customer request. And when they're put into that direction, basically all the wires will feed in and they'll all be even on the end. But anyway, they're 27, 30, and 33. Distance from the bottom of the thing, so all the leads are basically at the same length when they're put in at the proper heights. So I'm just going to go ahead and use these cutters and cut my clips off. I like these cutters, they don't damage my wire for this purpose. And now I can release the lights down to the floor underneath. You can see the way this locks together, like this. Now I'm going to demonstrate the force that it takes to put these clips in. So notice that the pin is located here. So if that pin is in place, then there's no way that this thing cannot go in straight. In any other situation, if you try to line them up in any other direction, it's not going to go down because it's not in the pin. Simple. One pin lines up. So this is already fastened to the ceiling. Set it in that pinhole, and everything else lines up perfectly for you. You can see there's a little recess on the edge that allows this to drop down in. And then as all the cups are in there, boom. Okay, now that entire thing's locked in. Obviously, when this is up against the ceiling, it's much easier just to push it up to the ceiling, tap it in all the different directions, than it is to put the flexible piece of plywood in there. That's it. Then the wire would already be in. As you can see, all of these little clips are placed directly, which allows them to come into the track here, go into the next clip. This all follows through, and as long as these are wire tied into the tracks, the wires will come up through and go straight into the spots where they're supposed to go through, and it goes up against the ceiling. Okay, so the YSC logo is on. I'm going to be taping a bag of zip ties down to the back right here. Also going to be taping in an ebony removal block. So as the installer, when you get this, you'll need to use the removal block as in such. You'll insert it into here, simply push down where the clips are. Voila. Simply go around and do that all the way around. It's that easy to remove the section. Again, you'll take this out, you'll put this on the ceiling. Bink, up on the ceiling, do your lights installs, put this back in accordingly. And we hope you've enjoyed this video from Yacht Shop Creations. Don't forget your ebony stick, your zip ties, a logo, and your really cool project. Y'all get out there and make something cool. Also do a wood project. Love you all. Talk to you later. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Unsubscribe if you don't like me. Send me a comment. I'll be right here.